We'll run through the water hole rituals now. So the first one is bonding with a horse, sharing territory. So different than a round pen work, we put a horse in an area and we wait for the horse to become comfortable in the environment. And we sit there with him until the horse comes to us and wants to know who we are. That could take a long time. Couldn't it not? Yes. Well, guess what? We want to take that time. However long it takes, I don't care how long it takes. It can take a day, it can take a month. I don't care. Horses, when they're in captivity, are missing out on their activities of being with the herd. And it's my desire that we fill those needs for our horses. And this can be that we sit with our horses as much as possible doing nothing. There's two activities horses share in a herd, and that's sharing space doing nothing and being together doing something. And there has to be a balance, just like in our own lives. We have a balance between meditation and a balance between activity to feel well-being. So if we can give that to our horse, that we are present, and just being around the barn isn't enough. You want to go to the horse and say, I'm here to be with you. Then you sit down and start reading a book. Do not send him any messages. Just be with him. Be with him in the moment. Read a book. The reason I like to suggest reading is because it creates magical connections without me knowing why. What I think is going on for the horse is that our intellectual mind is not focused on him. And that draws the horse to feel safe being in your presence. Our biggest problems dealing with horses is the insecurity that a horse feels being in our company. And how do we make him more insecure? Does anybody have an idea what would cause a horse to become more insecure? He becomes more insecure from being trapped and not being able to escape our request when we ask him. So every time we ask our horse to do something and he doesn't do it, and we stay with him and say, you can't get away until you do it, you're developing more insecurity in your horse. With this method, this is not the case. You can take your horse and put him with a bunch of horses and say, come with me, he'll go with you just like a dog. And now, when you have that kind of relationship, you have a horse that needs very little training, really. So that's why, in the beginning, I spend so much time bonding with horses. When the horse bonds to you, something happens. You know what that is? They trust you, yes, but the horse automatically understands what you're saying. But the bond has to happen, the connection has to happen, and he has to make it first. And that is what we need to do. We need to develop a language with the horse so that the horse can understand us, and that way we can ask him to do something. We don't have to train him to do it, and he'll do it. What we want to do, though, is when a horse comes up, what will happen is he will become a pest. Now, when he becomes a pest, there's two ways. There's a shy pest and there's a dominant pest. The shy pest, he wants to tear the book out of your hand, right? So I'm going to get the book and take it away, but I'm scared, right? Those kind of horses, what we do with them is we don't shoo them away because that would set back the relationship. So what we do is we get up and move away. And it'll take him a while to move up on us again. And he learns how to be polite because if he wants our company, he has to be respectful. Where a dominant horse is, well, let me see, have that book, right? If you feel that energy, because this is all about feel. As soon as you feel that energy coming up, you just say, oh, I don't think so. And you get up, you use your reed, and you ask him to move, and you keep asking him to move until he decides he's not going to come back. And when he doesn't come back, we go back and sit down and wait for him to return. And from that, the horse learns how to court you. And this is what we're looking for the horse to do. We're looking for the horse to start courting us. And that way we can shape his behavior. And the reason that I do this is because this is how horses train horses. When a foal is born, he's born very polite and respectful. If you watch him when he's first born, he says, "Oh, I've got to get out of the way," or "Oh, yes, I'll follow my mother." That's just instinctual. So when they're born with the instinct to move away from anything that comes toward them and to follow anything that's leaving. And then as their character starts forming, then what happens is they start testing the rules. If you'll notice, a lot of times you'll see a little baby come up, run up to the mother, turn around and kick the mother. Have we seen that? And when we see it, what do we notice? Mother doesn't kick back, does she? She takes it. The reason she takes that is because the baby doesn't have enough ego to accept a kick. And she wants him to be strong and dominant and not controlled by the members of the herd. So she doesn't kick. When the baby gets mature enough to become, let's say, antisocial, mother then chooses to kick because he has to be put into line. So when we're working with our horses, we want to work in the same manner. That when we are working with the horse, that we make that choice. Do we want him to be full of himself, or do we want him to be fitting in with the herd? And as the horse matures, he'll go between those conditions of being too dominant, too shy, too dominant, too shy, and we keep working him until we adjust his character. And until a horse will allow his character to be adjusted by us, he does not accept training from us. When the foal begins to test the rules is when they start becoming a horse with a personality. So he's going to develop a personality, which would be, he could be, let's say, a shy foal, or he becomes more dominant, or a lead foal. A lead foal looks like a horse that just does a lot of watching. He doesn't do too much interaction. The shy foal, he'll spend a lot of time staying away from the excitement. And a dominant horse will be fearful and also aggressive. You'll see that in young foals, and that would look like the horse would be trying to pull on your jacket, right? Rear up. Run up to you too close when you have the hay. Has everybody experienced that? Well, when that happens, that's when we bring the reed out, and we use this so that he doesn't get too close to us. Then that way we do not have to handle any situation where he might bite us or kick us. We create the order not by reprimanding the horse for negative behavior, but by the distance that we allow him to have to us. So this is the opposite. Like with working in a round pen, we're expecting the horse to come in, come in, come in. With my system, we're more stay out, stay out, stay out, because the horse starts the relationship first. And so since the horse starts the relationships, interacts with us first, it's following different rules and different guidelines.